I just want to thank you all for making the journey here. And I will say this again later, but the journey is everything. And the class is important, but being willing to make an effort of this level to be part of an energy flow, to be part of a acknowledgement of and a commitment to your deeper self is really acknowledged by the universe, if you will. And you should all feel very I don't know what the right word would be. Grateful to have followed a deeper calling to come. It's really, really important. And the fact that you've made that journey opens doors for you, and the class will open many, many doors. That's what it's for. And it opens doors that can stay open, or you can close. I'm not sure if you're writing things down, but please don't be writing. What?
She's signing a liability waiver.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. I thought you were taking dictation. It's not that important. But thank you for all being here. Again, this room is a sanctuary that was created by Rudi. These two paintings by Wendell Fields used to hang on the wall when there was a stage over there that had a statue of Nityananda. It was an extraordinary space, but this remains an extraordinary space no matter how you arrange it. And what makes it extraordinary, really, is your being here. And you need to kind of understand that. It's not to be self-congratulatory, but it really requires the energy and the devotion and the commitment of people who want to have what this represents. And what it represents is connection to that which is the source of everything we know. And to have that connection is, from what I can pick up in the rest of the world at this moment in time, particularly, a rarity. It's just a rarity. So know that you are in a very, very special space. It has only become transformed in different times to become more beautiful than ever. And it really is. If you had come back here 5 years ago or so, it was a very plain environment indeed. And now it's just rich with surroundings and the beauty of it. But I'll tell you the true beauty of all of this is Rudi. And for those of you who knew him personally, you understand the amazement of this having happened at all, and you understand why it's worth saying thank you. So I'm going to say thank you on his behalf and on my behalf. What we're going to do now is exceedingly quiet, but active to the degree that you don't sit here passively. You really do ask for help. You ask inside, and Rudi's key sort of request is ask for help to surrender, to let go, to open to accept the what is. And that's pretty massive. But as you go inside and start to do that, what you feel, honestly, is an opening that you get on occasion in life, which is when you hug someone or love somebody, or they love you, or you feel this sense of acceptance and awe in whatever is going on around you. That's a feeling that really comes in your heart. And if you learn through this practice to get it down into your belly, into your gut, you start to deepen it dramatically, and that energy moves through you. It's not static. It makes you, as if you will, Rudi would call it a whole person. It goes down, it goes from the top of your head, because there's energy coming in from there. There's energy in your mind chakra, which is in your third eye here. Energy in your throat, which is really the me, my, egocentric part of your being, which has purpose and value in the world. There's your heart, which is about loving others, loving yourself, and loving life, loving the universe. There's the navel chakra, which is the intuitive knowing, dramatically knowing without having to process it with mind and thought. There's the sex chakra, which is about renewal, because in this process, and if those of you who've been around long enough know this, there's a lot of parts of you falling away and being reborn, coming back to life, which is a kind of extraordinary gift that happens in our universe, that we get reborn, not just as another being somewhere along the way, but as a renewed version of our own personal self. And that energy, when it rises up the spine, which happened to me for the first time when I met Rudi, rather dramatically, quickly, of him looking at me just straight on, and I fell off a chair similar to this chair, right on the floor. That was like, what was that? And I slowly understood that some people's energies and connection and love is transmitted in ways that has more power than others. And Rudi was one of the most powerful givers of energy in the world that I have ever come across. So that energy, when it moves down and up and around, starts to create this alignment inside you. And that alignment allows you to become a whole person. And that is not the goal of this work, as Rudi would call it. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of this work. And as he would also say, it's a lifetime's work. That's what we're here for. This is going to be something, a lot of you are already toward the end of that journey. Some of you are still early on. This lifetime's work is remarkable in that it allows you a life of fulfillment, which does not come to everyone easily. So consider yourself, if nothing else, lucky to be here. Sit still, open, 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 be quiet, ask for help, focus on whatever the key spots for you, but I would say good one is your heart, and feel. Feeling is a wonderful process. Feel this quiet, simple opening. It does not have to be dramatic. You know, I mean, I describe it sometimes, maybe too many times, as your mother picks you up in the crib. You go, it just feels like, and that's an extraordinary sensation. And you can go from there. You can just go and go and go into places you may not know, and try not to get cognitively involved with all that. Just let this thing manifest as it will. And each one of you will walk away from today, this class, the weekend itself, as refreshed, if you will, renewed, or more, reborn. So don't lay anything on yourself. Just allow yourself the journey and see how it works out. Um, uh, we have a fair number of people gathered, so this may take a little more time than you're comfortable with, and I will try to use the various skills that Rudi gave me to um, move quickly into the psyches of everybody, so you don't get worn out and tired. But try to stay alert, try to stay connected, try to stay joyous if you can, and be grateful that you've arrived in this space, because it welcomes you deeply. Over the years that I have taught class from this particular sanctuary, this former classroom for Rudi and his students, place to welcome Rudi's teacher, um, Swami Muktananda, who is, of course, a disciple of Swami Nityananda, who is the chief energy source of this practice. Every year I sort of refer to a journey I took with Rudi 50 plus years ago, probably around 1972. There were two cars. Blanche was driving one, as I recall, and I was in that. I don't remember who was driving the other car, but we were going to look for a place where there could be classes for Swami Muktananda's visit to America. And one of his students, Rudi's students, had found Big Indian, a somewhat dilapidated old space that was used, I think, for Catskill retreats for Jewish entertainment and hotels in the old days. And we drove up here. It was a long ride from the city, as many of you who've come up here know. And we drove up here. We were in the second car, and we parked near the house that's no longer inhabitable. And I saw Rudi get out of the car, and I saw he was at home. He was beyond belief filled with joy. And Rudi had a big belly, and he started walking around the property. And it was the belly owned it before anything. It just, this was his place. And he knew this place had a future. He knew this place would be a place of retreat for people. He knew it would be the right place for Swami Muktananda to come. It was going to house a lot of people. It was going to be the center for a lot of activity in that immediate moment. And then it was going to expand. How it was going to expand, he didn't know, none of us knew. He thought it would become a center of education for spiritual teaching. Of course, no one is ever able to predict a full future of anything at all, but he brought all of us up from the city within days, a week or so, to fix the place up. Now, that was not a simple chore. This place, the level of flies impacted on the windows in the house over there just by themselves. We needed garbage bags to get the flies off the windows. The place needed so much fixing up that it was almost like impossible. And my job, the first week or two I was here, was the swimming pool, which is no longer here, thank God. But it was a massive, massive swimming pool, and it had been left to disrepair. It was had no water in it. The water would come in from the spring, and the spring was now deflected around it. But our job was to scrape the swimming pool. It was big, much bigger than this room, and it was the rust and the decay on the paint was unbelievable. And you didn't just come up. It was like really working. You figured after a day's working, you got a foot of stuff off of it. This is not going to happen. But we all worked. We all worked, and work was a very key element in Rudi's practice. And he knew people like me. He knew that I was not a worker. I I learned that I wasn't a worker from my father because he would say, mow the lawn. I said, I don't want to mow the lawn. And I would go out and mow for like 5 minutes, and he would come and finish. And always came and finished because that was not my skill set. I was lazy. I was not geared to that kind of activity. But Rudi saw that in me immediately, and he made sure that he made a worker out of me. We cleaned rooms, we built rooms. I cannot tell you how much work we learned to do through Rudi, which ultimately, even when I was going to say, when I found an apartment, Rudi found my apartment, Blanche's apartment, and it needed all this work. We built the whole apartment. We built risers, we built the sunken bed, we built Japanese screens, we built a kitchen. Blanche and I did this. How? Because of Rudi. Because of Rudi. And, let me just do this because you guys probably can't see what's sitting beside me, but I would like you to. Here's a picture of Rudi painted by Wendell Fields right here. And he's sitting over the cityscape of New York because in many ways his energy was New York energy and dominated that. And here's his teacher, Swami Nityananda, Ganeshpuri, India, who is, in my experience is psychic and spiritual and nothing material, except I spent 1 hour in his bedroom in India and put my head on his bed, and it was potent. I want to tell you that all of these energies are assembled here. And all of these energies have one purpose, really, to put us to work. And the work that we're supposed to go to, yes, it's good to be able to build your own apartment, and it's good to be able to clean up places that are falling apart and trying to make yourself useful in the world. But real use in the world comes from a much deeper space. And real use in the world comes from serving life itself. And you cannot serve life if you are closed off to it. If you are blocked, if you are not in the world as a participant, as a worker, as a giver, as a helper, as a conduit of goodness and kindness, you are of no value. Well, let's not put it that way, because we all are here for whatever reason, and even people who do not serve well are part of the building process of the human experience and the world experience, because we're all part of whatever created the forest and the skies and the sun and everything else. We are part of that journey. But to be part of it and to become conscious of it and to be able to work in alignment with it and serve it in some fundamental, foundational way is the goal. And most of us have no idea how to do that. Our parents haven't taught us. Mowing the lawn is good, but it's not the real way in. It's one way. Cleaning the house, washing the dishes, beautiful. I mean, Rudi said quite clearly, a spiritual work, a practice starts with making your bed in the morning. And that never made sense to me. And I see so many people to this day who go, why should I make my bed? I'm only going to pull the sheets down again in the evening, so why bother? It's a really interesting question. But making your bed actually straightens out your life. It cleans it. It makes it presentable. It makes it appealing in a way. And most of us don't make our beds on any level in our life, including, how we sort of feel about other people, how we work in the world. We're very sloppy. Why should I bother? I'll never see them again. Why should I do something kind for somebody? I don't know them. Okay, yeah, don't make your bed. It's okay in a way, but there's a larger journey here. And the journey that Rudi opened up to me, and which is being opened up to everyone here, and most of you are even opening it up to other people, is this journey of awareness. Now, we're not here by mistake. We're not here because it just happened that somebody gave birth to us, and now what? Get a job, produce some kids, maybe, make some money and die. That's a horrible way of looking at what this is, but in a way that is what it is. Just have it, go through it, be done. The opportunity in this journey to bring whatever you want to call it, guidance, light, love, joy, help, insight, kindness, goodness, to the experience of being alive is essential to the journey. We are here to help nurture and make each other better, happier, more complete human beings. That's what we do. And if you know how to do that, mostly in the world, it's be just that people say love each other and be nice to each other. That it's absolutely crucial. That is to do that. But if you can't get into the source of your own kindness and love and ability to share, then your obstruction is what finally speaks to everybody around you. People look at you and go, oh, him again, or again, the tightness. There's nothing inviting. But if you start to find your way in, and for some people in this world, they're lucky that something happens, and you can call it lucky or unlucky, tragedy strikes. Some kind of depth of experience that you would not have known before hits you. It could also be love and joy, truly, but it's something that takes you by surprise, and it goes, and you realize, oh my God, there's a depth and a level of feeling and being that you did not know existed. And that depth of feeling and being is, in a way, why you are here. And a teacher like Rudi shows you how to gain access to that, because who else does? Who else really does it? Where do you find the directives? Where do you find it? I mean, you can read about it. You can get theocratic. You can get insightful. You can get ideas that are sort of the mind. But it's the actual material experience of suddenly going into your heart and going, please help me to surrender. And this thing opens, and it is a revelation. But people who have had suffering and grief, it's already happened. The loss has deepened them. Love for somebody has deepened them. But for many people, nothing has done that except there's a sense that there's more to life. And if you come to a teaching like Rudi's, you have found a way and a path into the transcendence, the height, the depth, the fullness of your whole personality, of your whole being. And Rudi, I never met anybody like him, ever. And as you all may remember my story, I went to India to look for teachers. The quick version is following a massive LSD trip in New York. Long story, but has millions of little aspects to it. One of which is that the person who helped me the day after that is sitting right here, George Subkoff, who was there to greet me because I had the people who gave me the LSD had to go up to visit Timothy Leary and have more LSD, and George was going to take care of me. He did take care of me. The fact that we're sitting here almost 60 years later, right this moment, is like, oh my God. Then it turns out he married Cheryl. Then it turns out that Cheryl was good friends with this person called Blanche. And then they said, do you want to meet a girl? And I said, yes. They didn't say, girl, do you want to meet someone? I may have wanted to meet a boy, but that's another story. But, Blanche walked in the room, and I had told the universe, bring me someone to love. And Blanche was a person who came in the room. I walked her home that night, having not met her before, and started to talk to her. And I said, the universe has directed me to find somebody to love and spend the rest of my life with. Are you available, and would you like to be that person? And she said yes. And here we are. From that unbelievably crazy moment, in which she thought I was crazy, by the way. But she said yes. The same day that I met Blanche, that morning, I met Rudi. Now, how that aligns, I do not know. But I had found someone to love, and I had found a teacher. In fact, Blanche was also my teacher and remains it to this moment. George and Cheryl are my teachers. There are people in my life. I mean, so many of you are, you don't know that you're my teachers, but you think it's the other way around. Trust me, it goes both directions. But anyway, I went to see Rudi, and I sat with him in a chair outside over the subway grate on 7th Avenue, and he gave me the introductory class to that we've all had here, who's been here, about how to do this breathing exercise. And then he said to come to his space where he was going to be teaching. He actually had an old funeral parlor. He lived upstairs, and downstairs was the space he taught in. And I sat in a room with about maybe 15, 20 people on a chair like this. And, and he looked at me, and at one point, as we do this in the class, he looked at me, eyes open. I looked at him, and the next thing I knew, I was on the floor. I had no idea. I'd never had that ever before. Nobody ever told me that could even happen, that one can transmit an energy that opens you to the dynamics of the hidden life, if you will, of the deeper human life. Well, from then on, soon after, I started sitting on the floor. So every time I fell over, it was a shorter distance before I hit the hard part of it. But it was really, I knew I was in a space that was unique. And I knew the people I was surrounded by were unique. And many of them all came up here to build this space that you are now witnessing. And we built this space as a retreat, and everything was going to just go. Rudi was going to make it into like a big, almost like a university setting, and a place for people to come and study and wander. And then, of course, he was killed in a plane crash. That wasn't supposed to happen. But nothing in life is supposed to happen exactly in terms of what we want. It happens because it happens, and it has unbelievable resonance, and it has probably profound purpose, and everybody gets out of it what they get out of it. But Rudi left something that didn't go away. It just didn't go away. The teaching was implanted in certain people who were still, and at that point, teachers. He made teachers. I was not one of them. And I never ever imagined that I would exactly be a teacher. I was like the guy who didn't mow the lawn, kind of, and I still had a lot of growing to do. And as you may have remembered the story, I asked one of the teachers when I was living in the ashram in Indiana if I could start teaching, and was waiting for the answer no, and why, because I needed to know why. And the answer was yes. And I went, okay. Well, what do I do? What do I learn? Where do I start studying to be a teacher? He said, teach tonight. And I went, but I mean, I didn't even know how to respond to that. So that night, and there was a big classroom of about 70, 80 people. And I went and I sat down on a big, beautiful cushion teaching platform, and the teaching happened. And I realized it happens. It happens. And if you are in a dialogue, if you will, with a deeper self, the heart center, the intuitive self of your gut, it knows that you're in touch, and it will tell you, teach tonight. Hmm. And I sat there and I was amazed, as I am to this moment, at what happened. The flow from person to person to person to person was beyond anything Bruce could ever do or even know or understand. It just happened. And it happened in a way that made me profoundly humble, because I had no clue and I was not doing it. All I was someone who showed up and was being used. And what I had discovered in my years of listening to quiet, strange directives like tell someone you'll spend the rest of your life with them, by doing that, the universe said, okay, I can use this person. I can use them. And it has been doing that for a long time, serving its ends, not mine. I mean, I'm very happy. I'm very happy not to do this work. But the universe says to me regularly, it's not about you. There are other people who need this. And so, as much as I'm ready to hang up the cloth or whatever you call it, here we are. And all I'm trying to do in the being here with you and in this space, which I honor with every part of my being, because we help build this space, we help make this possible. It's here 50 years after the fact, so something is going on. It's gone through endless permutations and transformations. It's gone out of Rudi's circle of people. It's gone to other groups of people. And now it's going through a transition, which is hard for me to grasp and understand. But all I know is this is here. There are people, and I will focus on one, Daniel Subkoff, who's the son of George and Cheryl, who introduced Blanche and I, who's really at the forefront of trying to keep this alive and well and help it move to the next step. We don't know what that step is. We don't know how it's going to go forward. I only know we are in something that might be known as holy space. I don't know how many of you have ever been in holy space before. I don't know if you're even recognizing this as that, but I have been in a few places that are like that. And one of them is Sarnath, India, where Buddha gave his first lecture. And I know the minute I arrived in Sarnath, I felt I was no longer on the ground. I was like moving above it. And the same Bodh Gaya, where Buddha had his enlightenment, and the Bodhi tree, crowded and filled with people bowing and crawling and banging drums and doing all this stuff. And I went, all the wrong energies surrounding it, making it noisy and unbearable on some level. But there it was, this transcendent space. It happens on occasion. I I really I learned to recognize it when it was there, and I recognize it here. This room is part of that. And those of you who make the journey up to the Rudi statue, which is up the hill here, and strangely stunning experience. It's a statue that emanates energy, which is part of this tradition. I'm not a big statue person personally, but I walk up there and I get Rudi's energy. We used to have a statue of Nityananda that sat right over there. It's no longer here. God knows all these things move around. But when Rudi got that statue, we were told, don't touch it. Don't touch it. It's too strong. And I could feel, and I would go walk in the room with that statue, and I went, I'm not touching it. But it just gave energy. So we're not in a world where your elementary school teacher talked about this stuff. Your first grade teacher did not talk about energy. They did not talk about learning how to open your heart chakra, learning how to open your navel chakra. And chakras is an important word in Hindu Buddhist teaching because they are places that we just call the heart and the gut and the mind and the ego. Different words for the same thing. But these are centers that have the potential to flower and expand into ways we rarely know. But when we see people for whom that has happened, the Albert Einsteins of the world, whose third eye chakra saw the depth of the world's manifestation, people who have written from the heart who make you read and feel like you are touching the same world they're touching. People who know things in their life and are able to help other people through this unbelievable awareness and knowledge and sensitivity to their needs and their drama. So people who get to open these chakras do it sometimes through a practice, sometimes just by chance. But we are in the lineage of practice, and the practice says sit down and ask for these things to open and then serve the opening. That's kind of the whole of it. And if you're trying to do it so you can sell this to other people and make money, I would say probably misuse of your knowledge and your wisdom and your work. And I know people who do it, and I find that very unsettling in a way. Rudi gave this away for nothing, nothing. And I have taken that on as an understanding as well, that this is to be given for free because it comes to us for free. It's not ours to bottle and sell and make ourselves special or unique or rich or whatever you want to call it. It's simply to be at the core of what it means to be a human being and then to discover how big that is, how massive that is. And I will tell you the teaching, as you probably have picked up from me talking over the years, is not finished. It doesn't have a graduation diploma, and it is an ongoing experience. Each one of you is here because you know that to be true. There's still stuff to get, amazing stuff, amazing stuff. And it is amazing not to give you a sense of like, wow, I have amazement in my life. It's to be empowered by the humility that comes from witnessing how much you're part of the oceanic reality of the universe. You are part of that. You are more than part. You are at the source. You are at the source itself. You are the source itself. But as long as you are feeling that you are the source, you got a problem. And that's at the core of mystical teaching. But I've said this week by week, so you can, last week's talk was about transactional spirituality, but that is at the core problem of most people's spiritual journey. They figure if I get, then I have. But it's the I getting and the I having that are at the source of the struggle of the spiritual journey. And the goal really is finally, over the course of a lifetime, to let go of that I. Just let it go. It doesn't serve you all that well. It's nice when it says, I'm hungry, but something will know that you're hungry. You don't have to make it even an I. There's just a kind of perception that is disembodied knowing. And it involves qualities like love and loving and kindness and goodness and helping, all these amazing qualities that pour through in a multidimensional way that I can't comprehend. But I know it moves forward. I know it's moving to each of you in the room and on the video here. And all I can tell you is it's a practice that you do to get to this place as deeply as you can until it really does take over and is the foundational moment to moment reality that you inhabit. This is what we're working for. And it's not easy. I can testify to that. This has been, I've started studying so was it 60, 67. That's a long time, a lot of years, and I'm still at it. I'm still working it. And I know all of you are here. If you're walking around thinking you finally did it, God bless. That's great. I will tell you, it's an ongoing thing. We have a space that we're sitting in right now that honors the journey, that honors the people of gathering together, that honors Rudi, a teacher who brought this into being, that honors the work that's involved in making it happen all these years later, that honors the idea of carrying it into the future, and that is a place that you can come and say thank you. We call it a pilgrimage. The pilgrimage, in a way, is sitting in this room because it's protecting us from the rain and has light and is a gathering space. But it's also to go up at the hill to the Rudi space, to the shrine. Or there's a stupa with a statue of Rudi up the hill here. This is becoming like a spiritual garden, is what the last person who was running this called it. And it is worth the pilgrimage. And pilgrimages they're not for you, they're for you, but they are an announcement to the powers that be that you're on board, that you care, that you are going to make an effort of some kind to honor the very thing that's represented in the space that you make the pilgrimage to. Be it, Muhammad, and be it Rudi, be it Buddha, whoever, go to Jerusalem and be it Christ, whatever teacher you find, that making a pilgrimage there says to the universe, this person cares, this person's on board, and it brings you a kind of it brings you a gift, and that gift is that you are now part of something very big. You are part of something very big, and you have earned the right to it. And if you pay attention as a tiny little speck to the bigness that's coming into you and saying thank you and please help me, please love people, please be good, please be kind, that is an amazing thing to be. And that's something that we're all really working for, to be this tiny speck that will bloom into something that shines and radiates into the world. That's our journey. So thank you for being on a pilgrimage. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for being part of this extraordinary thing, whatever it is. I know it's beginning of another birth, a rebirth, if you will. You can all be part of that. You can help. Daniel is a real source of guidance for this, and we can talk to him and find out how best we can move this forward. It's not easy. Nothing about this is going to be easy, but it is worth doing. And it is worth doing because I assume if you're sitting here right now, those of you who have made it here, you feel the specialness of that. Those of you who are sitting at home, do not despair. Just because you're online, you are not lesser people on any level. Every one of you is, on a pilgrimage as well, and I know you all. So I honor your being here. But I will just tell you, this is special. Now it may rain today, and I will tell you one last story because I know it's getting long-winded. But what we had a puja here years ago when Muktananda was here. A big puja is a fire, and we built a huge pit. I mean, like 30 feet wide. And we threw trees in it that we had cleared from the forest. We threw everything into it that would burn. And the idea was that we would chant, which was not really part of our practice, but Muktananda brought chanting into to the world for us. And we all would march around the puja, chanting. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. But I started walking around, and then a number of weird things. One is that people started taking off parts of their clothes and throwing them into the fire. And I said, I'm not taking off my clothes. And so I don't want to do that. And then it started to rain. And I said, oh God, rain. This is like, what is this that we're doing? This is so horrible. And then the rain stopped and people were taking off more clothes. And I realized, well, I should do something. So I took off my socks, threw them into the fire, but they didn't even get to the fire. They were just sitting on the mudrooms, the side of the pit. So I felt totally unwelcome. And then it rained again, and then it stopped, and then it rained one more time. And I thought, this is the worst cursed thing I've ever been part of. I don't know what's going on here. And I blamed it on Muktananda, because I thought he was bringing all these sort of traditional things into play that didn't mean anything. And then I'm walking back to my room without my socks. And I'm going upstairs, and there's Draupadi, this woman who is a very close disciple of Muktananda, and she's sobbing. And I said, why? Why are you sobbing? And she said, Bruce, you don't understand. You don't understand. In India, when they have pujas like this, they carry buckets of water and they pour the water onto the fire 3 times, because it's supposed to imitate what is a true puja, which is one that is blessed by rain 3 times. And I just went, my whole world shifted. It just shifted. The discomfort, the why me, God, why am I wet? Kind of all of that stuff suddenly changed into this profound understanding that I didn't know what a blessing was. I don't even to this day maybe know what blessings are always, but that rain for me taught me so many lessons about discomfort, the way the world works in mysterious ways, and that we had a true puja in our ashram here, which is right around here, right up the hill. And that puja was a signal to me that this is the real thing. This is real. Something is happening. It's anointed. It was an anointing of this space. And we are here because of that. We are here because it's real. Hopefully Daniel will be able to keep it, with the help of others, a real space of continuing to represent the whole journey. I mean, one of the great things about this place is it's not just Rudi anymore. It's bigger. It's everything. It's the spiritual lineage of being in our life and in our world. If we can be that, guys, that's really helpful. If you want to help with that, 2 ways to do it. Help Daniel, bring energy to life, bring love, light, kindness, joy, radiance into the world every day. And if you do that, whether this lasts as in a specific place or as just a statue on a hill, whatever it becomes, is a place to come to say thank you. And the other place to go to say thank you is in your heart. Both are pilgrimages, really. Make them both. Thank you for coming. This is class number 1. God knows how we're going to do 2, 3, and 4, but we will try to keep this thing going. Anyway, thank you guys who showed up online. Thank you guys who drove and flew and did everything else to get here. Trust me, it will have proven worth it. I love you all. Thank you.